Down in the bottom left of 2,000 atmospheres, our blue Terran player from KaiZ Gaming. This is Spirit. So we start up 2,000 atmospheres, one of the more standard maps to get us going in TVP. Is there anything we're expecting right off the bat between these guys, or are we just maybe looking to get into that mid-game and kind of having a fight there?
Well, as the first SCV stayed at home, I guess we're not going to see any proxy Rexes, which is cool to see. Astrea just goes for a quick gate scout as well. Actually starts with a bit of a Reaper wall off as well on that initial high ground. It's cool to see. When I watched some Astrea games earlier today and in the past week, I noticed he likes opening up with that blink and quickly tacking into Colossi. He's a huge Colossi fan in general, and he's very good at it. Just a month ago, he managed to take out Beyond, I think 4-2 in a show match. So his PvT is, in my opinion, his best matchup. And TVP for Spirit tends to not be his greatest, but he's a tricky player to play against, especially in that early game stage.
Yeah, Spirit likes to bring the trickery. I know he likes a lot of like Cloaked Widow Mine openings, for example. Things that can throw the Protoss player off and then really keep them behind a little bit throughout the game. So maybe a little bit of something like that from Spirit. And like you say with Astrea, he actually really, like you say, he loves that blink. He loves just getting set up, strong units into the mid game. He's not about playing like the mass of gateway units as much as everyone else is.
And this is a Spirit classic here immediately. Marine into Reaper. I think he's one of the only players in the world that considers this a good build. And well, I also kind of like it. And the main goal behind this build is to trick your opponent into believing that you're opening either Marine into Reactor or Marine into Factory. Then when you move out as a Protoss with that first adept across the map and you don't chrono boost your second gateway unit, the Reaper comes in, kills 2-3 workers, Terran gets a full scout off your tech and that initial eco boost already, or well, taking out some of the Protoss eco, which can be great. We don't see any tower being taken by Astrea. And this could actually potentially be a little bit dangerous. If Astrea moves his first adept across the map, he's going to be in trouble.
Yep, it's going to start shading out. We'll see if he commits to it as it does go on forwards. Of course, like you say, there's no reason for him to assume that there's going to be a Reaper here, so it's going to get straight up. That wall off isn't going to cover both the jump up spots, so Reaper is going to get access. The Stalker is not even halfway done, and into the base we go. And Spirit, he's actually going to go down to the natural. He's going to start grabbing the probes here. They're going to pull, nearly getting this around. Not quite, though. There's probe number 1 and looking for probe 2.
Yeah, I should be able to get that. We saw the chrono boost immediately being spent on that Stalker as well, because that Stalker also was after the Twilight Council. It's relatively greedy for Protoss to delay the second gateway unit until after the Twilight Council, and yeah, that's what Astrea did. He's gonna get across the map with the Adept and at least force a little bit of mining delayed on the natural, but this is a great start for Spirit. He did scout the Twilight as well, right?
I believe he did, because he came up into this main base. Yep, so he did see the Twilight, so he knows everything he's playing against, which is obviously fantastic. And now he's going to potentially grab this Adept. Hellion is chasing for the kill. One more shot, and we are good. So Adept goes down too, and another big win on the board early for Spirit, as now Astrea really has no further information to gather.
Yeah. And you know, the worst thing here is because he used that chrono boost on the Stalker, I don't think Blink is going to be in time for the Widowmine drop either, because you require 3 chronos on that Twilight Council, if you get the Twilight Council before the second gateway unit, to get it in time for this type of Widowmine drop. So yes, all around not a great start here for the American Protoss player. It's going into 4 gas straight away. There is a possibility for some 2-base stack.
Just straight to Robo Bay.
Yeah, I'm maybe even considering a Templar Archives here is a possibility. I haven't seen him do that too much, but it of course is possible. Spirit right now doesn't know about the gases, so he's going to send a medevac through the natural to check whether it's 3 or 4 gas. And once he sees it's 4 gas, he can pretty much exclude 4-gate Blink from the equation. That's going to be a big read. So this Widowmine drop is going to be slightly delayed because it doesn't take a straight route to the main or to the natural. It does want to spot the gases in that net.
It's still going to be here before Blink, though, as well, so it's going to be tough to clean up. A third Nexus going down, and, well, these Widowmines, they're going to make a move. They wait a moment or so, but Astrea, he still had to bring the Stalkers from the main, and there's one in the natural and going to be one in the main. He should unburrow that, reburrow, of course, and just be as annoying as possible, force as much lost mining time as he can. He will get 1 probe in the natural, and now in the main base he gets 2 more, but he could have possibly delayed mining time for even longer there.
Yeah, I think both of these mines could have been unburrowed 1 more time. 3 workers, though, and denying a bunch of mining time is not bad. Raven tank with the follow-up. This is, honestly, it has been the perfect build order so far for Spirit. Astrea warping in 2 more Stalkers. The moment you stop the aggression, you ideally want to stop building Stalkers because it delays your infrastructure, it delays your extra gas upgrades like Thermal Lens or second Colossi. Good luck getting more than one Sentry out at this point as well, Astrea. Like, this is going to be such a hard game, even to just hold the first two medevacs. I'm actually a bit disappointed that the first Raven moves across the map and doesn't stay with the main army for perhaps a double interference here, Wardy.
Yeah, that could have been really cool, but he is going to try and get some pro kills with this Raven, so we'll see how much success he will find with this. Try and get some more damage done, just try and slow Astrea down as much as he can, but and he's only 2 workers behind anyway. Widowmine drop comes back in, so saving this from early, and Astrea is just not watching. This is going to be a decent connection. We blow up 7 probes, and that Widowmine might still get out. Astrea not happy with that at all, and there goes the Raven to the 3rd base. Get a couple more workers, why the heck not? And Spirit is taking lead after lead in this early game TVP.
Yeah, I'll eat my words about that Raven making it across the map because it's been really useful, not only in distracting. Oh my god, Astrea is just falling apart here. Losing a Stalker there as well. This army is going to move across the map. And honestly, even without Stim and without combat, without that +1, what does Astrea have, Wardy? Does he have 5 Stalkers? Is that it?
He's got 1 Colossus out already, maybe? It's not a lot altogether. He's got 1 Colossus, a few Stalkers. Widowmine Chop tries to come back in, but this is all pulling Stalkers back home in different bases. He can't get out on the map and try and delay this push. He can't get any free pickoffs. And Spirit is just sitting on this Watchtower, choosing his moment to fight. Obviously, all his upgrades are about to kick in. He's going to be able to push tanks up to those rocks and then start sieging the 3rd base. It's going to be a tough hold here from Astrea.
Yeah, I mean, I know the super battery is good, but this is going to be pushing it if he manages to hold this. I like the little rotation here out of Spirit. I much prefer him going in between the natural and the 3rd, where there's no rocks. Oh, the double mine drop. This is also a Spirit classic here, and he's pulling out all the tricks that he has in his massive playbook, because let's be real, there's lots of tricks that he can employ. Going for that double mine drop. I mean, these are 2 naked Colossi with, what, 3 sentries? Oh, Spirit not paying attention. Those gonna lose a lot of Marines here before the fight really starts.
Yeah, some free damage there. Widowmine drop tries to come in, and they will both power up, and 1 Stalker goes down, and probes are dying as well. Auditory is going well, and now he's chasing down Colossus, but he doesn't commit for them. That was at least 1 kill guaranteed, I think, if he just went forward.
Yeah, does manage to burn the battery of Astrea, but I think Spirit was a little bit too passive there. And definitely could have gotten that 1 Colossi. Now the next medevacs are coming across the map. They will reinforce this position. Are they going for a drop? I think they're rallied up for a drop. There's no vision on that far right side. Is Astrea in position in the main base? I doubt it.
I think Amosi had like a Stalker there, like Zonin had the Widowmine drop, but that's about it. So he has nothing in position in the main. And the moment you start responding to that main, this other army is going to strike the 3rd or somewhere else. So he's going to test that Astrea splitting properly. And 1 mistake is going to result in Astrea just being completely overrun. He's already trailing on army supply from where he should be. He has to split perfectly here, and it's going to be very tough to do so because Spirit has such a jump start on this fight.
The armory is done already as well. This is insane. These mines are going to be so hard to clean up. Single Colossi with 3 Stalkers will be able to hold this 3rd base. At the same time, in the main base, a pylon will go down, a couple of probes will fall, and Spirit...
No.
Oh my good lord.
Oh my goodness, pulling all the probes into a mine that was just with the army. The Raven is back as well. It has been an MVP, killing so many workers, causing distractions, and Spirit is just picking and choosing his fights. He's going to come back in on the 3rd base. 1 Colossus here. He should just be able to fight this, no problem. He's aiming for the pylon. The super battery goes down. Not enough, and everything's unpowered. Warping cancelled. Colossus dead, and that is going to be the 3rd base in a ton of trouble. Probes trying to pull into fight, but obviously that is never a good sign. GG, and Spirit goes up 1-0.
And what a dominant performance in that game one. Honestly, from start to finish, complete destruction. I mean, starting with that Reaper already throwing off Astrea. And the thing with a lot of these kind of techie builds is that if you make any type of mistake, your infrastructure is just going to be behind age. I mean, I think Gateway, what was it? Maybe 3 till 8 finished the 850 mark. Like, that's almost 2 minutes later after they should finish in a normal game. So yeah, terrible start for Astrea. And I hope he can kind of get his mind around the fact there that it's like, okay, the Reaper went wrong, the mine went wrong. Anything after that is almost irrelevant to look at. It's like the early game just wasn't tight. And if you're struggling in that early game, I think often a good solution is to open with Stargate in the next.
Yep.
It kind of evens out the playing field there. You're the one that can deal some damage in those first 4 minutes, and you just get a lot more map control. I know that Astrea is capable of playing Oracle builds. He can play Phoenix builds, but he tends to prefer these heavy blink openers. So he'll need to step up his defense. He'll need to, well, step up the entire first 5 minutes. This is kind of what I stressed before as well. It's like Spirit is really good in the first 6 minutes of the game. Afterwards, he does fall off a bit, and he tends to become passive if he can't kill. This game, he just managed to leverage that early game advantage into a straight win.
Yep, if he can do that again, he's obviously on his way to a straight 2-0 here, so Astrea needs that early game to be better. Straight up, you said it simply. If it isn't better, he's going to have a tough time. But if he can get it through that early game, if he can get into a good mid game, that's where Astrea himself just excels. He's great in those longer games. He's great at splitting up his army when he's comfortable to do so in the first place, not when he's scrapping behind and all of that. So we'll see what he decides to do. So much of it, like you say, also comes down to this build, right? You know, he wants to come in and maybe switch it up to a Stargate. It's a tough call because he likes his Blink Stalkers, but Phoenix is so defensive. Oracle gives you so much information. That could be the shutdown that he needs on Spirit. But of course, if that's not what you're comfortable playing, you'll get down a game, you know? You don't want to throw it away for no reason, playing something you're not comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly. And I often don't really suggest people changing plans midway through. It very often are not the most brilliant changes, especially if you're a little tilted after a game one. I think Astrea has enough experience to stick to the plan, and his plan should be good. He's known for solid preparation, has a lot of build orders, and like Fear Dragon mentioned in the pregame, his PvT does tend to be a little bit more standard, more macro-oriented. He does every now and then go for a proxy gateway, whether that's like a second proxy gate or just the first pylon straight away across the map. That could be something to kind of get that momentum in the game and at least know what's happening. Even if it doesn't necessarily deal damage, at least you're the one in control of the pacing of the game.
All right, well, in we go for Blackburn. Map number 2, down in the bottom left from Alpha X, and looking to fight back in this best of 3 series. Our Red Protoss player is Astrea.
And in the bottom right, as the blue Terran player, he's up 1-0. It is Spirit playing for Kaizi Gaming. Ooh, it's an eBay block, isn't it? Or it's a fake proxy. It's a bit too late for a fake proxy, isn't it, Vardy? Going to be a cheeky eBay block here. I like that on this map as well. It's a good build order in general. I've seen Astrea on this map sometimes take the gold, not necessarily in PvT, but I know he likes the bit in PvC. There is a possibility that this has been prepared, but then again, the Pride of Altara's veto doesn't make a lot of sense if you have a gold base build prepared, right? So, Astrea is actually going to spot that SV. That's huge. Yeah, this is absolutely big. Pull down 2-3 workers here. Make sure that eBay doesn't get more than 100 HP. Yeah, I actually think pulling 4 here might be fine as well.
Yeah, right. As long as you just shut this down, like you say, early, you can just make sure that this eBay does not get too much health on it, so you can just get rid of it, take your natural as normal. A little bit of a delay, but also minerals invested for the moment from Spirit, an early SCV across the map. So yeah, just going to deal with this. You can see Spirit is working around with that SCV, and obviously the last thing you want to have happen is for it to engineer and Bay block a second time. As Astrea will turn, and you should be able to pop the Nexus down. Pro blocks for a second, but there we go. So expansion comes down where expected, even cleans up the SCV, so no further scouting for you.
Yeah, great start here for Astrea. It's funny with that eBay block. When Beyond initially came back from the military, he was the one that kind of popularized it. There was a guy on the EU ladder called Ziggy that played it for years with gas first. Yeah, I would always lose to him. And I was telling the other terrorists, man, eBay block, I'm telling you, it's a good build. They're like, ah, come on, man. There's only one guy that plays it. Then Beyond comes back, and 2 weeks later, everyone plays eBay block. Nowadays, they don't quite play it with gas first anymore, with that quicker factory. But it really still has its place in the StarCraft 2 metagame, in PvT especially. And it's cool to see that Astrea, with that kind of late scout, I think that's after gas, what he did there, managed to pick off that SCV. It's a very big deal, because it is expensive for Terran. It costs like 80, 90 minerals or so. It means he probably can't really afford a bunker at this point anymore. Maybe Astrea can abuse that in some way. Adapt Stalker across the map, second Stalker. You see now the second unit, by the way, before the Twilight Council, and a Chrono Boost on that unit as well. That can be either for aggression, but also because he's scared of that Reaper, which happened last game, of course. Nice little adaptation, though. I do like that a lot, Wardy.
Yep, just prepping just in case there's more of the same from Spirit. Spirit did not opt for the same thing twice. He went for the Reactor after Marine this time, and that's the power of opening with the Reaper the first game. Now he's scared Astrea into a safer build, when this time he would have gotten away with the Greed. So playing the series as the Marines, actually getting a lot of free shots on this Adept.
Yeah. And that Stalker before Twilight here, and even the Sentry before the Twilight, just means that Blink is never going to be done in time for any type of medevac. Whether it's going to be 4 Hellion here or 2 Hellion into 4 Mine, it's just going to be impossible to have Blink done at this time, no matter how many Chrono Boosts you throw on there. It just doesn't start early enough.
Now we've got Marines going across the map as well. Fortunately for Astrea, he has started up a battery on the natural as the second Hellion about to pop and will help against this Adept. So 2 Hellions, one of them might go down. In fact, will absolutely go down. The Adept should die as it runs to the corner, maybe looking to catch a recall. Here come these Marines a little bit before the battery is ready, but it's a great force field to cut them in half.
Yeah, I still kind of like this for Astrea, though. Even just burning that force field means there's not going to be any vision. Oh no, Astrea is skipping the Robo. And this actually makes so much sense to do. If you're playing Sentry, and you can get that Nexus before the Robo, usually the hallucination will tell you whether there's a Banshee on the way or this type of armory mine drop, and you can still get the robotics facility on time. But because that force field just got cast, he's not going to be aware of the armory. The Robo's probably... it's going to be very tight. I'm not sure if these mines get to shoot a second time if they burrow, but it's going to be really darn close.
I mean, they're already halfway across the map, so it is going to be really close. It depends, maybe if he gets to split them up a little bit, maybe a couple will get to shoot a second time or so, as Spirit heads into the main base. Widow Mines will be cloaked after shooting, so let's see what they do. I love this one. Widow Mine going to zone the ramp. It's a beautiful move, as we have a recall in to defend the main.
Yeah. Oh, these dogs gonna die?
Oh, just one.
A bit surprised that there's not a single mine going into the natural, especially if you have an armory with it, right? Now we start walking into the natural. Blink still not done yet, 5 minutes into the game. I don't think he chrono boosted that too much. Perhaps another stalker will fall. And I think all the mines in the main base are going to shoot again, right, Wardy?
Yeah, he's going to get more shots off for sure. The probes are pulling so far in advance as well, so that kind of hurts. And obviously Spirit is really throwing Astrea off right now. Astrea's just not mining across 2 bases, basically. As we are going to see the Stalkers waiting on that Observer to pop. It should clean up the Widow Mine in the natural at least, and now he can move up to the main. But a new Widow Mine drop coming, so he's going to have more mines in the natural in a second. And he's actually going to drop the 2 more back in the main base, forcing another pro pull. And that's going to be a couple workers and 3 in total.
Yeah, if he get... Oh my god, it's dropping the natural. I don't think Astrea's paying attention. He's going to lose a lot of workers here. Spirit in absolute control this game. 43 workers against 41. The infrastructure for Astrea is looking so poor. There's no secondary tech yet. What is his gateway count? Is that 3? I think 3 gateways right now. And Spirit is going up to 3 barracks or 5? I didn't quite catch that.
He's already on 3, so he's just building the CC now. So yeah, just the 3 racks. It's just painful because it's not just a great work account for Spirit, it's the income because of how many times we've had to pull the probes and how long those probes have been pulled for. Astrea just keeps getting caught off guard, not quite where he needs to be, or not quite paying attention where he needs to be because of other things happening in the game. Spirit is making it chaotic enough that he's able to stretch his advantage from the first 5 minutes now to the first 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah, this mine drop going in, I didn't quite expect. I would love for him to at least keep 1 mine alive in a medevac, right? That's such a threat when you're doing that first medevac push. To force 2 or 3 stalkers in that natural is huge, obviously. Mike tries to walk away. It's not the quickest fella in the high school track, so will not make it out. This mine's also going to get taken out. I'm not a big fan of these type of drops. I mean, at this point, Astrea is ready. He has observers everywhere. Blink is done. The one thing I did want to say, though, is that Stim, Combat Shield +1 are extremely delayed. He got 2 medevacs, he got a Raven. I think he built an extra tech lab on one of the barracks rather than using the starport tech lab. I mean, that just shows here how long that really was delayed. Now the extra barracks are coming down. Their CC is pretty quick, but Astrea managed to probe up to a pretty decent work account. And I think Spirit here is actually misreading his position massively by throwing down these 2 bunkers. I think this is a pretty big error, actually. And I'm not even too huge a fan of these tanks either. I believe he should have been capable of keeping map control just with medevacs and mines. And if your opponent is on Zealot Stalker on 3 gateways, that is definitely what you want to be doing. Perhaps even tech into a fast second eBay. You already have the armory, obviously.
Yep.
Add a Ghost Academy, 5-6 gas, and you're good.
Here comes the Raven that was obviously so great back in that first game. Already going to open a couple of kills, make that number 3 and 4. So already a bit of damage, more probes being pulled. And the double upgrades now, chrono boost now from Astrea as he tries to play catch up on the upgrade game. And that's going to be something which once he gets to, he really does stabilize a whole bunch. Until then, it's a little dangerous, but of course Spirit's only just finishing his upgrades and those bunkers kind of say, I don't want to move out. I don't believe I can move out. So Astrea is getting away with the double upgrades, going to a 4th base, and his tech now all coming online with the Colossi. A minute or 2 from now, Astrea is going to be looking a whole lot better.
Yeah, he really is. And I hope that Spirit, for his sake, has some type of push planned in the next, well, 50 seconds, maybe 1 minute or so. Because look at all these upgrades that are currently researching. 4th base with the gold about to finish up. Our observer just showed us that Spirit is not aware of that 4th base yet. And now he's going to finally scout that. But as it's done already, I'd be surprised if he does just straight up salvage the bunkers here and goes make a move, right? Walk across the map, try and do something.
No, absolutely. As the auto turret comes down again, a couple of probes being picked away at on the natural mineral line. I mean, do you see? I mean, this was nice, just not pulling the probes. So full work is going down. Astrea kind of believed he could clean that up, but not fast enough. And Spirit continuing to build up this wall off in the front, but not making a big move out. Just a few Marines dropping. Maybe looking for a run into that gold mineral line.
Yeah, this is the type of pressure that should be kind of easy to deal with, no? There's a lot of vision here for Astrea. Oh my god.
Moved out at a bad time though, didn't he? Just didn't quite catch it, so that's a few more probes going down. And obviously a pull on the gold base is that little bit more meaningful, so Spirit gets a bit of damage done. He stops Astrea when he wanted to move out. He wanted to go with the Colossus range. He's not starting 2-2 right away. Now he does go into the +2 armor. But for a moment, it almost felt like Astrea wanted to hit a bit of a time with his Colossi first coming online with that range.
I don't think that's possible here. I mean, there's 2 bunkers, constant tank production, +1 vehicle weapons done already as well. Vikings are on the way. I actually think Spirit helped out Astrea there by forcing him to stay back. Of course, Spirit not aware of that. But yeah, these single drops when nothing else is happening on the map and you're not planning a move out just feel a bit odd to me. I do like this though out of Astrea. Just wanting to delay the gold mining a bit. But like I said, the tank count should be big enough to be capable of dealing with this. I mean, you have to be pretty wild to jump over that mineral line with 8 stalkers if you have no vision of what's behind there. And this drop, yeah, this really shouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, but it's going to get cleaned up. We do get a stalker at least, so something of a trade out now. We start to blink backwards, a couple of zealots come in. He's going to get a second stalker, so makes the most out of very little. Minor things at this stage of the game though. A unit here and a unit there. As Astrea continues to warp in middle of the map, but can also continue to set up for the later game. The Dark Shrine, of course, is a pivotal structure in this late game TVP nowadays.
Yeah, this defense feels a little bit Maru-esque, getting these extra CCs as well, just setting up with tanks, depots. Maru usually only plays it when he's behind, and Spirit here showing us it's also possible when you're in a decent position after the early game. Sending out a double drop right now. That's 8 Marauders in 2 medevacs. They have good upgrades as well. Do believe that the 2-2 for Astrea will finish in time as well, though. In this type of scenario, I do believe that it tends to be the correct play to skip the Dark Shrine and go straight into carriers. I mean, Spirit is not really going to be moving out, right? He's got 7, 8 tanks, perhaps. DT should not be capable of killing a base here, and unless he's completely out of position. Good map vision out of Astrea, will spot this. And perhaps Spirit should first focus on taking out some of the vision on the map and then consider pulling this type of move.
Yep, Raven getting a little close to the cannon there. No, I don't disagree, right? Get rid of the vision, take the control away from him a little bit, and then these drops will be way more successful. Right now he's going to jump into the mid, and Astrea didn't do much to get back here super quickly. I mean, he's just going to run a few units back. He'll lose a couple pylons. Spirit will get away with this apparently, so it's all okay. But yeah, get rid of more of that vision. The next time this attack comes through, it'll be so much more dangerous. This Prism is in trouble because it's in turret range and slowed down on the way in and would have been slowed on the way out. He had no option other than to commit, and obviously with double turret, it's an easy defense.
Yeah, first nuke on the way here for Spirit, by the way. Ship weapons starting as well. That's the second armory then, because vehicle weapons level 2 also is being researched. Single Zealot will still get 2 kills, but of course he did lose a Prism and a couple more Zealots for it. Yeah, this drop's gonna get cleaned up finally here. I'd be surprised to see too many more drops like this. They feel kind of risky and not super necessary. I like the double Stargate fleet beacon, but I think they should have been built at the timing where the Dark Shrine was built. Because you now just have a very large delay in which Spirit gets to kind of take control at some point. Get that 5th base going, set up turrets there, another sensor tower. And he starts sending out, well, probably Ghost with Cloak at some point as well, right? Getting a couple of nukes in.
Get a couple, yeah, like you say, nukes around the map, a little bit of harassment here and there. Absolutely works wonders. We do see Astrea is going to open up some rocks and try and open up some attack paths on the map. So we'll see if he can find any positions, but there's a nuke. And of course, these things are just going to be distractions as well, more than anything. Astrea is going to be stopped from focusing on a major fight because he's got to pull back, deal with nukes. Looks like he maybe knows where this one is. Going to pull the probes last second. Disruptor shot to try and clean the Ghost up. And he is going to miss it, and he's going to get it the second time around.
Yeah, very nice. Of course, we did see Spirit try to fake nuke against DRG.
Yeah, that was sick.
But it looked for a second like he was going to nuke his army, but he actually does that just for the notification. Because then, if you don't know where the nuke is and you're getting nuked, you're just going to keep looking, right? You're going to double check the bases, and actually takes a lot of time. It's a really scary moment that all kind of gets in your head. So cool mind games there that he can play. 2 more nukes are being researched. Triple starport, and Spirit is one of these players that doesn't really believe in the Viking Ghost late game, but he loves battle cruisers, Wardy.
Yeah, no, he really will just tech all the way up if given the chance to. One single drop on the top side, dealing with the pylon, another medevac actually a bit further to the left. Maybe they'll join up together for some harass as Astrea's coming through this bottom side. I mean, this is going to be a deeper wall. It's a horrible set of choke points to basically fight through, but he can get some free pickoffs with the disruptors for the moment, and then just back it up. Again, those drops on the top side are the biggest threat on the map at the moment, and a ghost which has been seen by the observer, and Astrea is going to look to chase that one down as he does clean up the top left. These drops from Spirit still just not doing anything. They've been going for a long time and achieving nothing.
Yeah, at this point I kind of understand it because he wants to clear some supply for that for that battle cruiser switch. I think he actually forgot his fusion core as it's just now starting. Next nuke is coming down on this gold as well. Astrea actually not paying attention there.
Because he launched both of them at the same time, so he's not expecting the second nuke until too late. And that means we get a connection for the 12 probes. And the ghost says, you know what, I'll run forward and kill off a couple low HP probes as well until you get me some detection here to clean up my ghost.
Yeah, honestly don't mind it too much though, losing a couple of workers here. If you already have 4k, 2k in the bank, honestly Spirit once again just helping out Astrea there with the decision making. It's like, buddy, you don't think you need these anymore? And Astrea says, well, I'm not sure, but I guess they'll die.
This drop finally cleaned up as well. Voidware went hunting to get rid of the medevac, so making sure that that all went down. And Ghost again just going to sneak through the middle of the map, is going to come into vision there for a few moments. And Astrea is not going to be able to clean it up, so he doesn't quite notice it despite running straight past an observer, as we are just going to miss this observer with a scan. Obviously, that's great observer position for Astrea, because he knows exactly when the Vikings do just this, looking for the jump on the Colossi.
Yeah. Can we take a look at James Bond with the nuclear codes? Is he still somewhere around? Oh, there we go. Beautiful, man. Whoop! Gets in the natural as well. That's a big one. Could get a couple of workers, maybe hit a forge, and not. Oh, this is almost a fake one, trying to go for an army. Meanwhile, the battle cruisers are building, and you need a lot of time to get a decent battle cruiser count out. Stargates are being pre-built, and carriers are on the way, but those are the incorrect units against battle cruisers. Against PCs, you want Tempest. Yeah, that barely hurt.
Yeah, you grabbed an observer at least, right? So it's actually something, you know. Observers ain't cheap. And they're kind of nice when you've got Cloak Ghosts running around the map. But yeah, BCs, you're going to have a great time here. And like you say, Tempers will really get rid of them. They can fight from afar. The BCs never get involved unless they hard commit in with the teleports, which is super committed. So hard to make that decision. So let's see if Astrea can do something about the BCs, or if he can start setting up a bit better against them. He's trying to push in here again, but just the way that Blackburn works, it is this map with very limited attacking options, and that's why Spirit is pretty much always in position defensively, because he's never moved his main army out to be caught out of position. And there's a little bit of a defensive nuke that gets insta-cancel.
Yeah, and now once again Astrea is going to be looking for that nuke, right? Just going to give Spirit so much time. I'd love these first three battle cruisers just to start moving towards the bottom side, maybe get into the main base and kind of start ping-ponging in between sides. First at the bottom, then teleport to the top and try to fly away. As long as Tempest aren't out, that tends to be the correct move. Spirit needs to get rid of some more of his units. Astrea helping him with that, actually taking out that tank. A couple of SCVs also going down that will allow Spirit to start the next round of battle cruisers here. That's exactly what Spirit needs.
Yeah, more BCs coming up is always nice. We do grab an observer here to start this fight out as Astrea start to move on forward. Couple disruptor shots will just land on missile turrets, and that will be it for now. As he's still harassing up here, but here come the BCs into the main. So like you say, they're going to start ping-ponging around. They're going to have those teleports to get away with. And behind all of this, it's just buying time for more and more BCs. Do you think right now Astrea starts to cancel up these Tempers and start, carries and start going Tempers? He actually cancels and builds Stalkers for the moment, a bit more of an immediate defense, but maybe not as great in the long term. And 5 Stalkers right now, not going to do it against these BCs. They are just going to teleport back right away because Astrea's committing in for the big fight. The BCs want to dissuade this from happening, and they're going to get Yamatos off for a carrier kill. And now going to try for a few Stalkers as well, as they tried for some damage, but this was just a no-go for Astrea.
Yeah, and these Stalkers are kind of like a band-aid fix, right? They do well against low numbers of battle cruisers, but once you get up to 6-9 battle cruisers, and there's what, like 8 tanks as well with insane upgrades. Like, Astrea's almost on a timer at this point. There's so many sensor towers. Spirit doesn't even need to gamble where this army is going. He can just see it on the minimap.
Yep, he just gets vision the whole way around. First Tempers are coming through, but the exit BCs are already finishing up, as we are going to see Astrea really going to try and dive in on this gold base. I mean, the majority of it mined. Still nice to get rid of the gas mining here, etc., and the few minerals that are left. Drops the sensor tower down as well. Spirit was just a little slower this time to rotate up here.
Yeah, I love this drop. This is so good. Tempest gets sniped actually before they get out. Or well, Stargate gets sniped before the Tempest get out, I should say. There's a couple of DTs in here. The scan does need to be used. Will get used. This is a lot of money that Astrea is losing. Another Tempest pops here in the main base. 2 Tempest pop in the main base. If they don't make it out alive, that could really suck for Astrea.
Yeah, we're actually going to go for the fusion core, so no more Tempest will be able to start. Gets rid of the Tempest upgrade, not the biggest of deals. A fair amount of bio units going down for this from Spirit, but he got so much done. It might not have been straight up unit kills, but the infrastructure he's denied is going to slow down the rest of Astrea's response to these battlecruisers. He's now fallen back to some Void Ray production. I mean, he's also maxed out, but he would be liking to trade out some of this Zealot Stalker for more Tempests.
He needs to do that ASAP as well, because he has a lot of money. He's still in a good position, don't get me wrong. He has a crap ton of money, he has good map control, has a powerful army as well, but the battlecruiser count is growing and there's still no real counter against this. That means that Astrea needs to start fighting right now. He needs to start taking out more bases. I love what he did at that gold, but every single time he tries to take out a base, Spirit just says, hey, I'm just going to base trade with a couple of medevacs. Is there still a lot of medevacs alive though? What is the real army looking like right now? It's not a lot of bio, Wardy. This is a very specialized army, you know? We have 5 ghosts, 9 battlecruisers, a bunch of Vikings, 3 tanks. Good splits there on the ghost. Some do end up falling, but he EMPs everything.
Yeah, he was just looking for more and more EMPs there. The BCs are going to back up the Vikings against the Stalkers. You drop some Yamatos on those, and you can see the Stalkers just do not fare well in this scenario. And we're going to keep on moving forward here. Spirit believes this could be a moment to commit to a fight. We're going to see now Astrea coming forward. He's going to blink through and is looking for those BCs. Obviously runs into the choke of these slow zones. We're going to get tanks to start zoning out. We lifted a couple of those ghosts last second. And Astrea is still just building Void Rays because he hasn't got a new fleet he can rebuild.
Yeah, that's kind of painful actually. Battlecruiser count is still growing, and if an EMP hits and then you have 15 battlecruisers fighting against well 11 PCs against 13 Stalkers and 2 Tempests, Astrea can only fight near static at this point. It's really odd to see such a mech-like army have complete map dominance at this point. There's a small army still at the top that Astrea is using very carefully, taking out base. Oh, now it's DTs. It was Stalkers earlier. This Planetary is absolutely dead.
Yeah, this Planetary should not survive anything. Is obviously too many DTs. SCV is pulled to repair. That's very hopeful. Obviously, you're actually going to teleport a BC up there to start dealing with it as we fight a super battery cannon on this top side. A BC over here as well. I like this, just peeling a couple off and making use of the mobility of those. Going to send the rest into the main with the defensive blink available on those. Astrea's going to use this to push through the bottom side, so retake some of the map control here. Maybe even get on Spirit's side of the map, but it's going to come at the cost of him losing so much of his production once again. Stargates are going down. The gateways are going to be unpowered. Astrea's really committing a lot to the here and now, which maybe isn't the best idea when he's the player with a huge bank.
Yeah, if you lose all your production and you have a huge bank, the bank doesn't actually do very much for you. Planetary here is going to get taken out as well. Spirit probably should back up into his main base, or at least into his natural, whilst taking out every single production structure on the other side of the map. And eventually these PCs will need to teleport home. Army supplies are still very close. Spirit does need to be careful though. He needs to take out all the production and then teleport back, not before that.
Yeah, he's just going to go for this now. He's going to get rid of that DT Shrine that doesn't have Shadow Stride yet. That's a little bit of a late one coming out there. As we'll clean that up, get rid of these Stargates, and again, just remove the production from the game. Means the army supplies are going to stay similar, but I mean, the Spirit is also on a very, very low worker count here, so he needs to be very careful himself because he doesn't have any sort of rebuild potential, and if Astrea gets given time to rebuild his structures, he's going to get a lot more units out, and that's why he's going to start winning this game.
Yeah, it's difficult right now for Spirit because it just doesn't have that much income. Can't really rebuild an army. Lost slightly more resources as well, and the units lost about 3k more. Just been mining a bit less in the past, what, maybe 5-6 minutes or so. There's a lot of Stalkers.
Yeah, this first EMP going down is... The Stalkers are obviously good against the BCs, but the little bit of bio that actually can just trade so well against those Stalkers. They're just not good later game units. Going to try and work our way through some stacked defense on the bottom side, maybe open up this attack path as the main army goes up to the top. Still utilizing those nukes and now rebuilding 4 SCVs at a time. Again, Astrea is maxed out, but the real army supply lead is the work count is the lead in this supply. The army supplies are very similar. As in we go for a fight once again, BCs are going to drop their Yamatos. The Stalkers are taking a lot of damage. The EMPs come down on them. The Disruptor's running through as the bio does what it can. The BCs are obviously the key here if they can power through this. But is there going to be enough, Awesome? It's very close towards the end. The BCs try to teleport out. They'll get rid of all the tech units. It's only 17 Stalkers and 2 Voids remaining.
Yeah, now you just rebuild a crap ton of bio. Try to get a couple of ghosts out as well. I wonder if he still has some nukes in store. I'm not sure if he does. Well, this Voider is actually dealing a fair amount of damage as well. We'll be able to take out well, one more Ghost, have a Marauder there. So Marauders, these are kind of not where they're supposed to be, Wardy. Should be at home.
He left a few units around the map. He is dropping, by the way, top left-hand side, so a bunch of probes going down over there. Sorry, not dropping. BC's going in for the play in the top left. But if they use their teleport, because if they can't teleport out of here, they might be in some trouble, and that would be a very expensive loss. He's going to hide in the corner, believing it's mostly Stalkers that can clean this up and force that to be only an air fight, which he probably could win. So he will buy himself the time to get rid of these BCs, to get the BC's teleport back on, as you just pointed out, Spirit mining more minerals right now.
Yeah, it's mining more minerals, and obviously mainly due to these 6 mules that were working on the top right side. This DT move was extremely important. It looks minor, but this was absolutely huge. That's going to kind of give that eco lead back to Astrea, at least temporarily. This top base being found, though, is also very big. I don't think the battlecruisers were anticipating a base to be there. Spirit is going to be very happy that he did end up scouting that. Planetary will get taken out. SCVs need to evacuate ASAP. And what's the army actually looking like right now? 2 Tempests, 22 Stalkers, 7 DTs against, well, the pure bioproduction and a couple of battlecruisers that can still be used for harassment.
Yeah, it does just feel like it's maybe starting to tilt a little bit over to Astrea, but at the same time, the work account's getting back there from Spirit. If you could just have a base to mine from, right? Like, he's got to keep these CCs down. We just saw Planetary denied. This orbital is obviously up in the skies. Drops a bunch of mules, but he has to make sure he's got the detection he needs against the Dark Templar. Moving forward here again, Astrea does not want to let up the pressure. He believes he can make a lot happen right now as Spirit ping-pongs one side, then the other to try and fight. The BCs teleport to try and fight here. That could have been dangerous.
He was very keen on that, and the rest of his army wasn't quite there yet. 2 Ghosts in this army are going to make a huge difference. There's no Guardian Shield either, no Sentry, no Disruptors. I love this call on the Disruptors here out of Astrea. Fantastic. This is exactly what he needs right now, because the BCs aren't the main threat anymore. It's starting to become the Bioforce. I even wouldn't mind a couple of Colossi here, Wardy.
Yeah, I mean, we're back at that point, right? There's nothing really to deal with Colossi. So if you can just find something to fight this bio, because its army right now kind of sucks against enough bio units. So yeah, these adjustments are necessary. This CC probably going to die. One swipe and it's dead. These SCVs and mules start drop. He does have another base established bottom side. We will scan to go for the DTs. Remember, they don't have that blink, right? Because it got killed off when the Dark Shrine fell. So that's something that Astrea is missing that maybe can't preserve these DTs as well. And just means he needs to be a little bit more defensive. And he's just realizing now his Dark Shrine's dead. So only just now rebuilding it, all of a sudden, these are the only DTs he's had for a while, which is impressive for how much he's been doing with them.
You know what that scan was on the goal? That was the GG scan.
Yeah.
If there was a base there, he would have tapped out, I think. If there wasn't a base. Now the battlecruisers will get their Yamatos off. Big EMPs hitting as well. If the Disruptor shots don't connect, this Bio army can win.
Yeah, well, that was the 2 Disruptor shots used right now. The first one did hit the Ghost, but the Bioforce will continue through. I like the Zealots warping in just a little bit of buffer in the front, especially when no EMPs are here. I think that's a big deal. Just anything to keep this Bio army away from your units and away from your bases. And for the moment, Astrea is continuing to hang on in, as is Spirit. He's trying to rebuild SCVs once more and just restabilize, preparing up the battlecruisers because he knows the effectiveness of them. If you can keep them alive and just try and get something more out of them. Right now, efficiency is key when you've been playing behind these work accounts so long.
Yeah, efficiency is key, and the king of efficiency is here as well. So there's 2 Disruptors out, 2 more on the way already, and once that Disruptor count really starts growing is where Spirit will be in trouble. He can't really jump on top of that army anymore in that case. It doesn't have Liberators, BC count isn't high enough. There's not even a single Ghost in this army currently, and I honestly believe that Astrea is just kind of running away with this game at this point.
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't feel as though anything's gone like super well for Spirit in recent times. He's going to attempt to make a play for the bottom side base, and if he could keep that alive, that could be, you know, a changing factor. But at the same time, if he defends the bottom, Astrea will likely get the top side base, and then that kind of evens out, and then is Astrea not just too far ahead? And Astrea maybe has the better potential to deny this base from coming up as well with the Tempest at range and everything. It more so forces Spirit into a fight, but he's not really the player that wants a fight at the moment.
Yeah. No, he doesn't need to, right?
Yeah.
I'm a bit surprised, by the way, that Astrea only stays on 51 workers for now. Is just now trying to retake that 12 o'clock as well. Feels like he has all the freedom to do whatever he wants at this point. Going back into Tempest as well. It's not necessary, but it's not bad either. I really would just like a bigger Disruptor count at this point. That's the one thing I think he's kind of lacking. Honestly, if he goes up to 8, 9 Disruptors, Spirit has no chance, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if the Disruptor count is good enough to stop the Bioforce, because the only thing scary here is the Bio Army overwhelming against an army that's not meant to deal with Bio, so the Disruptors really are the answer in that regard. Shadows tried about to finish. These DTs were already amazingly annoying. They're going to get even better. Yeah, you just can't defend this base, but the Stalkers just move through this bottom side. They can, of course, blink back. Spirit doesn't really know which way to go. If he runs bottom side, well, yeah, he's kind of getting cornered in for these Disruptors too. He's going to stim as the Zealots run up the ramp. He will split back. The BCs teleport in on the fight on the left side. The Void Rays activate. We Yamato down the Tempest. This is going to be the end of the BCs. They don't really win the fight down over there. And Spirit, I mean, the army supplies are still close, but now it's just a Bio army, and surely Astrea has no fear of anything apart from the Bios, so just build Disruptors. It's what he starts up. We see an attempt to jump on these Disruptors. Didn't quite get there initially, so the shot went off, but he does kill a second one. And just keeping that Disruptor shot down might give him something of a chance, as now he goes running, though, and it's just pure Bio units.
Yeah. Those slow zones are really annoying, by the way, here for Spirit. He's not been capable of jumping this army once. A couple of times he got good EMPs, but there's no more Ghost around right now. This most likely is going to be one of the final jumps. So, Spirit is pretty keen on finishing the game here. Astrea mining more. Tempest still there. Super Battery gets activated. Zealots get warped in, and this army gets pushed back. And Spirit needs a change of plan. Perhaps needs to end the plan here and start thinking about the next plan, because this game looks very, very poor for the Polish Terran.
Yeah, it looks as though we're heading into game number 3 here in what's been a pretty epic series, right? 30 minutes here on game number 2. Blackburn has been a lot of fun, and we are going to end up on a third map at this rate. And I don't even remember what the third map is going to be at this point in time. Remember, we saw Berlingrad and Pride vetoed. It's going to be a fun conclusion to the series, I'm sure, because this fight is just overwhelming, of course, from Astrea. He has way too much, and he's going to be able to come in, tie this up 1-1 in the best of 3. We are going the distance. Astrea took him a little while, but he got there. He fended off those battle cruisers.
Yeah, and it was not an easy task with the army that he had at the time. Felt like during that BC transition, perhaps Spirit didn't quite have enough tanks to hold these little run-bys. Losing that planetary at the gold was an extremely big deal, in my opinion. The moment you lose that planetary, you kind of lose that anchor at that point at the top side. Then he also loses that top base in the top right, and just becomes extremely difficult for Spirit to stay in. A couple of decent fights for Astrea, of course, and yeah, Astrea takes the game. Long game. Not quite what we had expected out of Spirit after that opener, honestly. I really believed he was going to leverage that into a mid-game win.
Yeah, he had a great opening, as we have a couple of results, by the way, just coming through, of course. I believe we saw that Beyond was run up against Ryung, for example. So, obviously, lots of other matches happening across the other matches. In fact, there you go, Euthermal 2-0 Cyan as well. So that's cool. Euthermal going to get through to, what, a qualifying match? Not bad. Nice 1-1 against Skillers, Beyond 1-0 against Ryung, and Percival playing Probe on the C stream. So check all of those games out, find your favorite players, and stay tuned in with them. So much action here across the first few days of the Intel Extreme Masters, as we just have so many games, so many great games as well. We were looking at the lower bracket, trying to pick, the match for after this, and we were like, well, we want to cast all of them, right? Like, every single lower bracket match is just stacked and very well matched up, actually.
Yeah, it's crazy. The players that are in the lower bracket already. I mean, Hero in the lower bracket.
I know.
Would not quite have expected that yet. Of course, the guy we currently see on screen after a fantastic 30-minute game on Blackburn wants to calm down a little bit. Someone take a sip of water earlier as well. They're going to have to rethink their builds. And I think this is really the key point in this series, is that if Astrea gets to stay alive into a solid mid-game, I do believe he is the better player. And also going into that late game, I do believe he is the better player. But Spirit in the early game is so scary to play against. And he does have a couple of tricks up his sleeves as well. If it does go late, we've now seen the BC style, which he likes on Blackburn. But perhaps on the next map, we'll see a more Liberator-focused style, which he'll use very base trady often. These are all possibilities. You could also go for any type of proxy Rex in the early. He is a man of many tricks.
Yeah, he has got so much potential here. We get ourselves ready for this game 3. Astrea wants to survive, he wants to live. He's been relying on those Blink Stalkers. They've not been great. Really, the openings have not been brilliant for him. Last game he survived long enough, was able to get into that mid game. Does he switch it up? It's Hardwire for our final map. This is where one of these players gets to a qualifying match. The other will drop down to the lower bracket. In the bottom left-hand corner from Alpha X, our red Protoss player, Astrea.
And in the top right, as the blue Terran player playing for Team Kaizi Gaming, It is a Spirit. Piotr Walukiewicz, the man who took game 1 in a very dominating fashion, struggled in game number 2, and for a second time in a row now is sending out a quick SCV on the map. This should be for an eBay block. This time he's going to be dodging that first probe, and that is a big deal. That is the most important thing by far when you're... Oh!
Yeah.
It's a double gas.
Yeah. Okay, so Spirit going to stick around on one base for a little while here, play into that faster factory, and this SCV really taking a long way around once to make sure it avoids any potential scouting. There is our engineer in bay, and Astrea will just not know about this for a little bit. He pops up now, and he's going to get in, so you will be able to see the double gas in a few moments. Probe comes down to check, sees the engineer in bay, and you can just already see how much more HP is on that this game than the last.
He was going to play Nexus core. I think he wanted to play Stargate here. His score got delayed because he was mentally getting ready to throw down the Nexus. I also think he mined a very little amount of gas already, and he's immediately going to take the third base. This is extremely interesting, that he wanted to go for Nexus before core, after what happened in the first 2 games, because that tends to just be a little bit more risky, unless you really go into Stargate. But with that gas count that he was getting, that didn't look like a Stargate gas count, Wardy. Now he will get a second gas, a pylon as well. If you can't play Stargate and you take the third base, life is just really difficult for you as a Protoss player. He needs to get a warp gate. You know what wouldn't surprise me here? If he actually throws down 2 or 3 gateways and goes for like a semi-counter attack as well.
Yeah, deal with the initial pressure like really easily and then just counter straight across the map and try and hit the Terra in that sweet spot, especially if they've been in building something like Hellions or so, right? Where you have just so much power versus what they can do to an army. Now we're going to swap the factory onto a reactor. Starport begins to build, and Arax pulls back a little bit. Yeah,
it's going to be a 3-gate. With his opener, what he was going for, I actually don't believe there is something else that he can do here. This is really the only thing. If he goes into Twilight here, the game just ends. I don't actually believe there's any chance he holds. So good to see that he did have a plan in case this happened. But this is, I'm not sure if this is what he was aiming for initially. Also gets a quick sentry. That's going to be for a hallucination scout. We'll be able to see whether he'll need a robotics facility or not. And he managed to sneak the probe in. Man, Astrea's movement is good, but Spirit's... Oh, no, he misses it. I thought I was going to see that.
Yeah, that's a real shame. Checking the natural, but not all the way. Armory starts up as we set up for those Widow mines, of course. Robo facility already on the way out, so the detection is going to be possible back across the map. That's obviously going to be brilliant. And again, there's just not going to be a lot of fighting units here from Spirit, and that's going to be his biggest issue.
It's really this is a poor BO opener here for Spirit, honestly. Yeah, this is a good start for Astrea here. With that 3-gate, we'll be able to defend against these mine drops. With the Robo, we'll be able to get detection. The mines will just shoot once, so the armory will be completely useless because of that quick robotics facility. And I do have to stress that what Astrea is playing here is a very rare opener. I don't think Spirit faced this a lot in practice, if once at all. Zest used to kind of play like this, but I haven't seen this in a long, long time.
Stalker's going to be right on top of this straight away. The medevac is just going to get the full unload. He is going to kill one Stalker here right away. Now a couple of probes, and the last Widow Mine going to wait and wait until it burrows. Just try and buy time. He is going to connect on that probe, which he needed to because the Observer is here. Widow Mine was going to go down, so Spirit getting the most possible action out of his first mines. And now he brings the next mine drop across, and this is going to stop Astrea coming across the map, and that's the one good bit of news for him at the moment. As Spirit is still checking around, but still hasn't quite found what's going on. There was a Widow Mine on that third base as well. Probe's going to get back over there, and Astrea, going to have to pull back, realizing this mine is about to fire.
Oh no! How's that in range? Hello?
Okay, that's pretty disgusting, I'm not going to lie, even as a Terran player.
A couple more mines is all coming in right now. That was a big hit there, and he should be able to get the 3-4. Oh my god, did he kill the orbs?
He killed the orbs.
Oh, next one is out.
I mean, new one pop, but it's still annoying, right? And just getting so much damage. Another Stalker going down. 14 probes, 2 Stalkers, and 2 Widow Mines survive. That is the killer. Those 2 mines going to have a chance to get back in, or at least force units to stay there and defend. Oh, and Astrea's got no tech behind this, man. He's on gateway units with no upgrades, and Spirit is going to start getting into a great spot.
The opener was so good, though. Yeah. It was so good. He was in a great position. The problem, of course, is that he doesn't have any cash. Well, you don't need any cash if the guy just boosts into 6 Stalkers, I guess. But Yeah, this was a very nice defense here, just losing one Stalker. That one mine still isn't being cleaned.
Because he has no second observer,
yeah, no
right?
second Oh, he's going to lose another one?
Oh, Nelly. He is going to be able to clean all these mines up as this Widow mine not firing, but not letting the probes mine is obviously a big deal. We're going to save a Widow mine again. Spirit is just getting more than you should ever be allowed to get out of this. Probes continue to pull away, and at some point, we're not just meant to let one probe go down here to let those other 4 probes mine by now. This Widow mine over here is going to come back off. Stalker's just getting out of range. Oh, man. It's just brutal.
Is there an observer, perhaps in observer mode somewhere? It feels like there's no way that Astrea would have let this go on so long. It almost felt like he was waiting for an observer. Yeah, but no, he wasn't.
Maybe he was just waiting for the next one to come out of production after he lost one, and he didn't send the one from the main because he was afraid. The pylon's still in the natural, by the way, something that Spirit can now focus on cleaning up. And again, the big deal here was meant to be that Astrea was meant to be able to get a ton of units up and counterattack straight away. Well, now he's not being able to do that at all, so you're really just stuck with, like I say, unupgraded gateway units. They become terrible as the game goes by here.
I mean, yeah, like 2 or 3 minutes ago, Astrea was at 32 workers. Against like 22, he was up a base, and he had the exact same infrastructure as he has now. The only thing that changed is that he has 3 or 4 more Stalkers. At the same time, Spirit managed to get like 2 extra barracks. He's getting his stim, his combat shield. If stim starts before the secondary tech goes down, that usually is not a very good sign for the Protoss player.
No, we're going to have a Raven making its way in for a different kind of aggression. May use this as a distraction to get the next Widow miner into the back of the 3rd base. There's a lot of units around, but again, that's not a bad thing for Spirit because they aren't across the map doing anything. So he's fine with that as well. He's actually just going to drop it into the natural and just maybe leave it here, wait for a worker pull. Probably the best way he'll get damage done. The Raven going to take a few shots on the way in. Is going to commit. He should target fire the Observer down, and he will do so. Raven taking some extra shots, but worth it for an Observer. More chaos, saves the mine because it fired. Perfect. Again, Spirit just being so freaking annoying.
He's playing really fast as well today, by the way. His macro has been close to perfect this entire time. His control of the units, except for that one medevac that boosted it to 6 Stalkers and didn't really think twice. But I guess it was all right as well. You know, scared these Stalkers. Scared the ever-living crap out of these Stalkers already. That's one thing as well.
Yep. Scare them as much as possible. And the more you do that, the better game you're going to have. Stim and combat shields finishing while extended thermal lance begins. We haven't even started Colossus, right? I mean, this is pretty bad. I mean, you can look at so many different parts of this game that's just falling apart. Oh, come on, no! Gonna get another probe. Stalkers, please go kill the medevac. I know you don't have blink. You do have legs, though.
Yeah. He shouldn't have done that. There's no more ops here. And the Colossi is starting, so it would have had to be the observer from the 3rd base. This game is looking really, really poor for Astrea. He has poor infrastructure, no upgrades. Worker count is looking bad as well. This stupid Raven is still alive, flying around. Like, I'd be tilted out of my mind at this point. We now have a Twilight Council on the way. The first Colossi will finally pop. There's 3 tanks and 6 Marauders already.
I know. It just feels like, how do you ever fight this army? You know, you see Protoss players fighting armies like this with Blink, maybe charge finishing in the Colossus. He doesn't have any of those gateway upgrades. The one Colossus, I don't put enough belief in that. Spirit's being very cautious moving forward. He's going to stim in right now, force a bunch of force fields. Well, that's good anyway. Medevacs are here to heal up from the stim, so just going to keep on pressing forward, take it slow. Now he's going to have less force fields to defend with back at home. Once that Terran army gets across the map, Astrea is not looking pretty. He's going to try and feign kind of, power by kind of pushing forward with his army and holding a forward position, but don't think it's going to fool Spirit, and he's just going to keep on looking for this fight. Yeah,
very good movement, though, out of Astrea. Those 3 force fields were good. Just getting to that ramp ASAP as well was good. And even now, forcing another faraway siege up. And I believe that Spirit at this point needs to wait for Medevac 3 and 4 to either join up with his army or go for a big drop in the main base. And because the infrastructure for Astrea is so lacking, I'd actually would prefer a drop into the main base here. Because how are you going to warp in any units of 3 gateways, buddy? Not possible.
Yeah, his extra gateway is at least on the way up. Not too far away from finishing. Charge is halfway done. He is fixing some of the problems he has had in this game, and basically problems he's been forced into. They're going to go for a little drop into the main base. It's going to lead with a Widow Mine, and then he's going to unload the Bio Forces as well. The Widow Mine's going to get the stack up of probes because he was responding to the Bio units. Here's a cool little 1-2 punch. The Auto Turret wanted to come in there to help as well, but it actually got blocked, so he'll get it now. The Raven might have dropped its last turret. It does die at least. but 8 more probes going down, and you can see Spirit is just kind of thinking, can I fight at the front here? Going to take another Widow Mine drop around the side, look to do something with that, while also maybe getting his main army even further forward.
Yeah, I like this Ghost Academy, and he should start Viking production. Ideally, he should have started Viking production about half a minute ago already. I'm not too keen on continued medevacs here, as Protoss, the only thing that Tosk really can do here is sit on 3 bases forever. You can't break that with just pure bio. You're gonna need Viking, you're gonna need Ghost for that, as this mine is going to hit. +1 and Blinker on the way. Astrea still on 4 gas here. This is actual pain.
How many workers died this game? It just feels like it's been an endless onslaught. 36.
12 mines have gone down.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what, like 4 probes per mine? I mean, that Infern is just going to be, 3 if I do my math properly. Bio going to chase a Colossus down in the main base, and obviously just a little drop there that Astrea doesn't have a proper response to. He can't even deal with this Widow Mine that's just sat here. There's an Observer, but there's no units, and again, just falling apart a little bit. Another good connection for even more probe kills. We'll jump forward for a Stalker, looking for that Colossus too. This Widow Mine's just gone off again. Super Battery at least in the main. That's going to force Spirit back for a moment, as Astrea is just taking a beat down on every front.
Yeah, I think at this point, Spirit really should just get a Viking count out, get that enhanced shockwave, and then go for another push. I've seen Astrea in this type of position before, by the way, and what he'd usually do was go into double robo, get disruptors out, stay on 3 base, and sometimes even eventually go into like a 6 gas, double Stargate, up to 4 to 6 carriers, then make a push with that. And I actually believe that to be the correct call here. I don't think trying to play Dark Shrine and taking a 4th base at the same time, it's just going to allow Spirit to push into a 4th base where you're way more open, where you need to defend a 3rd and a 4th base. Spirit can just attack in between your 3rd and 4th. He'll force you into one position, take out the other base, or take out your army if you go into a too aggressive position. It makes life very difficult. Now, Astrea either needs to fight around chokes on the map, or he just needs to give up the 4th base the moment that Spirit moves across.
Yeah, no, he needs to be... He needs to be ready to do something, make some sort of a sacrifice, because Spirit just has so many options with the way that he's currently setting up. I mean, he's kind of hoping that Spirit just like, oh yeah, you know what, I like macro, I'm going to sit back and not do anything. I mean, that's a possibility, but Spirit is staying on the map, he's keeping an eye on the army. I think he has a good idea at least of what's going on. A little scary maybe it being 4 Colossi. Does that dissuade Spirit from moving forward until he gets a few more Vikings out?
Yeah, I think his Viking count is a little bit low because he started that production slightly too late, I believe. But he still has a really powerful army. I believe he should be pushing this 4th base. I really do believe he should be.
All right, well, a couple of Zealots will run by, and that's the nice thing from Astrea. Just little bits. I mean, he can't afford a lot to run by with. He's just not in a position to, but the couple of Zealots do pull an army back, and it does get a couple SCVs, so it's something that's keeping Spirit maybe from going for that push. He scans again, dropping a Fusion Core. Spirit thinking about the later game. He has loaded up a bunch of units into medevacs. Is that just a mine drop, or is just a little drop there? So nothing too crazy. Looks like Spirit's really happy just sitting back for that Fusion Core. He's going to push forward now. We'll see how far he actually gets across the map.
He's giving his opponent a lot of time, though, with that Fusion Core. I think he wanted to wait for 2-2, but by the time his 2-2 finished, he already was at like 175 supply. So he only really gained 15 supply during that, and Astrea gained like 40 supply. Oh my god, Spirit actually is going to get a bit of a base trade going, though, and that will be good. If you have double starport ready, you have superior upgrades and lips on the way already. 4th base is going to get taken out, and now that right side drop also is going to be fantastic. This was kind of lucky that Astrea had no vision on the map whatsoever. Spirit will get a free base because this push hit too late.
Yep. And push was not meant to be maybe as successful as it was at this time. But anyway, now we drop into this base down here. That's going to maybe force a battery overcharge. Nope, just going to lift up before then jump into the natural instead. Obviously, we're positioned to try and find something. Probe still long distancing from over here. It's a little bit of a mistake. You can see the Vikings trying to lurk forward for some damage for free on the Colossus, as bio units will fight a couple of Stalkers. Target firing the Stalkers past the Zealots. We got a couple of those. We've killed 7 probes in the last few moments, and just going to grab an Observer as a drop goes into the main, and Astrea going to be forced to warp in big time over here. Well, that's a pretty sizable warp, and it will clean up this medevac fully, and now these Stalks can join up with the rest of the army.
Yeah, these drops obviously aren't good at dealing damage, but they do allow Spirit to slowly start trickling in a couple of Liberators. Big EMPs here hitting, by the way. This felt like a fake fight, but it turned into a bit of a real fight, as I think 1 or 2 Disruptors end up going down. Spirit manages to trade, which is always good if you're up bases. He is getting an extra command center once again, and now the Liberator harass is going to start. The advanced ballistics not quite done yet, but 3-3 is already on the way, and Well, Astrea, I mean, he really can't afford DTs at this point, right? There's just no gas for that.
Yeah, BMPs all across the Stalkers, by the way, as the Viking continue to chase down. Man, this army suddenly looks terrible, right? Only 2 Colossus. I mean, they're going to die very quickly. Here come the Zealots from the bottom side. That was what was missing, you know? Everything wasn't quite here, but now all the Colossi have gone down, so it's just Disruptors. And whenever it's just Disruptors, it always just feels so scrappy. You're one bad Disruptor shot away from the Terran just jumping on top of you and just clearing up the entire army.
Yeah, we have the next 2 upgrades starting as well for Astrea right now. As that's a good scan there out of Spirit, realizing that there's a fort base there. Might focus his attention on that. It's really important for Astrea to be on the map right now and make sure that his opponent can set up. If 4 Liberators get into a position where they can threaten a base, I think this game will actually end, because Astrea does not have the army to break a position. Astrea, however, does have an army that can stop Spirit from advancing into a position. So although he's down in supply, this is the correct call. This really is the correct call. And I would have loved for Spirit to actually go through with that quad drop that he was setting up. Those 4 medevacs, they need to start moving out on map. I actually do believe they're going towards the left side right now. And that's a big move, because he's defending here at his third at the same time.
Yeah, but as long as he holds on over here, the big drop can do so much. Triple medevac down the left-hand side. And an observer spots it though, so Astrea at least has some information, some time to set up if he is paying attention, because there's so much going on. He's pulling an army back, he's dealing with the Liberator. Into the main base we go. Seems like there are going to be Zealots and DTs here. We'll drop half on the high ground, a little bit on the low ground by mistake. Not all of the medevacs are continuing to drop, and we didn't scan for the DTs. The Ghost did nothing, and well, this is a horrible drop in the end, cleaned up by so little. Yeah,
this was a queued up drop that really didn't get microed whatsoever, and I think it should have been able to clean that little warp in. It was 6 Zealots, 2 DTs. If you have 3 filled medevacs and there's 2 EMPs ready as well, that should be no problem. Liberator's going to continue dealing damage. Where's the rest of the army, Spirit?
It's just not here at all. Coming in from the upper right-hand side a little bit late. Lib's going to start getting out of there, maybe reposition with the army this time. And you know, by now we have to just back away from the Disruptor shots. Yeah, last couple of moments not as pretty from Spirit. He's making a couple of mistakes and kind of unforced errors as well, because he's the one mostly in control of the game up until now. That might be changing soon.
Yeah, however, he did manage to get on the map, so he's not in that pinned down position anymore. And like I mentioned before, if you get in the position with 4 to 6 Liberators, you have some EMPs in there, plus 2 ship weapons, you can freaking one-shot Stalkers here, Wardy. It's going to be extremely painful to engage into. And if you don't have a DT squad on the map right now, which, let's be real, Astrea has no DTs whatsoever, he can't really do any counter damage. He's trying with half of his army, but I don't really think he can. If Spirit doesn't make any big micro mistakes here, this army on the bottom side here should be able to trade very properly against whatever Astrea sends for him.
Yeah, the Liberators just trade so well in this scenario when it's only Stalkers to deal with them. More and more Libs pouring out, and of course Spirit has a good amount of units at home, so we're not really seeing anything happen with Astrea trying to get aggressive. None of that's really kind of, you know, coming to fruition. As we do move down the bottom side, we're going to aim for this Nexus. Going to jump on that straight away, and EMP goes down. That Nexus, dropping, and it's gone. So that's completely denied, and well, Stalker's going to blink in after the Libs, but a couple of them get away to the corner anyway, so maintain some of these units. And I'm just going to clean up to take ACC top left-hand side as well. Spirit putting the pressure on, dealing some damage, continuing to kill off probes. It really has just been a continued probe massacre all game long. And now just more and more Libs popping out here. Spirit getting his numbers up and continuing to just settle down in great position.
I think Spirit actually needs to start reinforcing this position or move across the map with his main army right now. This is going to get cleaned up soon here. There's only 2 Liberators left, 2 medevacs with a kind of bruised army. If 2 armies get to join up and not completely at home, I think Spirit's still in a fantastic position, but this is a chance for Astrea here.
Yep, absolutely. This Bioforce does escape away up to the top right, joins up with everything else once again. A new nuke is in production. The Zealots and DTs come back around the left, and Spirit is just going to look back at home. And Astrea starts up even more upgrades.
Spirit needs to really keep going, though. Every single time he has Astrea by the throat and then just kind of drops him. It's like, oh, you can have another life here, buddy. Take this green mushroom, man. I'm not quite sure why he's doing it. He should be pushing right now. He never should have given up map control. There's no DTs on the map. The Zealots, honestly, go for the kill here. Go for the kill. Send some Liberators back home towards your fort base. Give up this space. I really do believe that...
Oh, he jumps on all the Disruptors. That's a big start of this fight. Go for the kill. Okay, then. He jumps on so much of that. I mean, all the Zealots are across the map. You can see Astrea gather them together. Wants to get a recall up, but now it's going to be what? Pure Zealot Stalk with no Disruptors. So Spirit's going to continue forward. He's going to have some Liberator support here soon. as another nuke lines up. We're going to end up taking this base down. So base for a base, and the Zealots, I mean, they all clumped up to come home on a recall, but I guess he didn't have it. So a little awkward is, this is a huge nuke going to land, and the probes are all there. Massive connection. What is it with the nukes today?
The multitasking of Spirit has been fantastic. Liberator at the 5th base, nuke at the 4th, 3rd base falling at the same time as well. A lot of Zealots are moving in right now. I think this should maybe even be a pickup here. Yes, there goes Spirit. Liberator still alive. Can stay siege probably and just drop behind them. Fantastic play out of Spirit. We have been a little bit critical at times of his decision making, but his control and his multitasking in this series and in this game specifically have been phenomenal.
Yeah, this Ghost, by the way, wasn't happy with the 30 kills he already had off the nuke, so he'll get a few more before he gets taken down. He fought until the very end, and Spirit with a 60 supply lead. Astrea doesn't have the economy to bounce back from this. It's this army or die trying, but if you're left all in on a group of Zealots, it's not usually very good for you.
Yeah, you know, Wardy, at this point I wouldn't mind if Spirit goes back home for a little bit and gives Astrea some time. Yeah, you can give him a couple minutes to try and rebuild one Nexus at a time here. Yeah, Spirit just moving across the map. EMPs are there. GG gets called as Spirit wins.